Hey, everybody, it's Ken Pooch Van Druten here, along with Chris Rabold.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, we want to give a special shout out to our listeners there in China, and especially the Stage FXX. They are helping out to put up these Chinese subtitles that you're seeing on the bottom so you can understand. What we're saying to you. Sorry, we don't speak Chinese. But we sure appreciate that you guys come and check us out on our YouTube and all of our social media. Stage FXX has sent us some questions that we're going to try to answer for you. So one of the first questions is, now that the corona epidemic was affected in worldwide, especially for our stage industry, can you tell us how the present situation in the U.S. is now? Chris?
It's non-existent is how it is. It's shut down, which is, I would imagine, how it is virtually everywhere else. I've seen some news of, the drive-in concert concept in Europe. I don't know if you saw that.
I did. Yeah.
So,
and they're actually doing it here in the U.S. too.
I saw that.
I spoke to someone today, and next week, actually, they're doing the drive-in concept here in America.
Yeah. But by and large, to answer the question, the U.S. Entertainment industry, specifically the live concert event industry, is shuttered. It's shut down. We're all at home right now.
And it will be for a while. I think that we won't even be talking about doing concerts until some of the sports come back in our country. So basketball and baseball and all those kind of things. When they start coming back, I think there will be discussions about concerts. We may have some socially distant clubs kind of opening it up. But for the most part, we're really not going to be doing anything. And I think it's going to be for a considerable amount of time.
Yeah, I feel the same way. We're the last people on earth that are going to be going back to work, quite honestly. We really are. We really are.
For sure. Hey, and here's the second question. We know you two are very experienced audio engineers. How do you think about the impact of coronavirus for this industry? It's along the same lines, right, Chris, of the one we just answered. I mean, basically, the impact on our industry is vast. None of us are making any money. There is no sound vendors working right now. So the impact is that a lot of people are going to be losing their jobs. And basically, we are probably not going to go back to work until maybe the fall. We don't really know right now, but I don't know. What's your thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, that for certain is the case. Something that I wonder about is when we do go back, there's probably going to be a staggered opening. In other words, we're probably not going to go back to an arena that would hold 10,000 people, and it now holds 10,000 people. It's now going to be at a reduced number of people. So as a worker in the industry, and with my own self-interest, I'm wondering, that means income is going to be drastically lower. So what does that mean for wages? And are the artists going to be saying, look, we're going out, we're now bringing in less? Are they going to ask us to go out for less? Now, those are all just fears and concerns, but I think they're viable and I think they're very real. So as far as the impact moving forward, it's really just a wait and see thing. But there are some things that make you a little cautious and now that being said, I would take a lessened wage than no wage at this moment. But what happens, when does it come back after that? So those are some of the things that I think about personally.
No, that's absolutely true. But I also think there's going to be a point where we are going to have to weigh against, is this going to affect my health by going out and doing this, even though I need to get paid right now? I need the money. Am I going out and, possibly making my life in danger by going and doing it? So Yeah, there are so many unanswered questions, and I really don't know where this is going to head. I think for us in the U.S., I know that China is definitely ahead of us. So possibly we'll be looking to you for models on how that's going to be. But on our end of things, I think that everything is so screwed up right now. Like nobody knows the way that it's going to be. I think that there are so many other things that have to open up here in this country before they get to us. We are literally the last people that are going to work.
All right. So the next question is, you know a lot of technicians now that we're in a panic because they're not sure about the future. Can you give them some advice? Like what could they do or what could they learn during this period of rest? That's a great question. And it's one that Pooch and I have talked about a bunch. And we're trying to find some sort of silver lining in this downtime. And I think a recurring theme of ours is that use this downtime to your advantage. And if you're a mixer, get yourself some tracks, if that's possible. Work on some mix, basically. However you can achieve that. If you have a console, great. If you just have a laptop, that's great too, but work on your mixing chops. That's something that comes to mind. And then, of course, there's all of our brothers and sisters that handle other tasks in the industry as well, and they too can better themselves and study during this time. I feel like that's a recurring theme of ours, wouldn't you say?
I'd say definitely. There are so many resources right now. We are seeing every single manufacturer is releasing all kinds of instructional videos. A lot of people like Chris and I are releasing all kinds of ways that you can improve yourself as a mixer. I think that I am taking this period of time and learning as much as I can, by watching what other guys are doing and learning from them. I think if you take all of that time, we're going to come out of this better mixers. Also, Chris and I have talked about this a lot, where if you take the time to be in front of your DAW, whatever that is, Pro Tools or Reaper or whatever it is, it will, by the time we get out of this and you start working again, you will discover that you're going to be a better mixer for that time period that you spent doing some really intense focus on your mixing ability. So I am, for my end of things, I am spending several hours a day treating it as if it were work, and mixing, and just trying to keep my chops up and learn more about what's going on. How about you, Chris? Is that what you're up to too?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, as you were talking, I was thinking about my own self. Again, if you are a mixer, work on whatever you can, techniques or plugins, which are such a big part of our industry now. If you have access to, even if it's just a demo, get in there. If there's anything you've ever wondered, about how to do, now's the time to try it, where there are no ramifications for failure. It's okay. Yep. So yeah, I would echo the same sentiments. Just even if it's just reading, even if it's just theory, now's the time to get it in, because there's really not a lot of excuses on the other side of this for not doing it. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Another question is, now the upgrading and replace of equipment, software, and technology are more and more fast in the stage field. What do you think of present situation and the development trend of that, Chris? Mm-hmm. This is something that you and I have discussed. On a hardware level, physical product, manufacturing of those kinds of products it too is shuttered and stopped. And they would be foolish to release anything because there's no one to buy it and there's no one to use it. So I think when it comes to hardware, I don't think we're going to see anything right now. And now, as far as innovation, design, I think those people are still working right now, in whatever capacity they can. So I think when everything opens back up, I do think we're going to see, just like I think we're going to see better mixers, we're going to see better trained technicians. I think we're going to see better technology as well, because people are sitting at home thinking about it. Software is a little different, though. I think on the software end, I think there are upgrades being made that technically could be pushed out. Again, I don't know who's receiving that, though. So software updates can happen now. But again, the only place to put them into practice is at home in truly what is practice. It's not an actual application out in the field. So if that answers that at all, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. I think that unfortunately, at least here in the U.S., manufacturers are shuttered. There's not a whole lot of that going on. And even when we are allowed for people to go back to work, I think that those manufacturers have nothing to produce for people because sound companies aren't going to be working in the U.S. So nobody's going to be buying new speakers, for example.
And something I just thought of too, even when we go back, no one's going to have any money to invest in anything new.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's funny because I think that, but there's always people with money. There are people that have money and will invest when things come and take the opportunity to maybe take over businesses that are failing and invest in that. So I think there will be, but I think it's going to be a while before we see any of that. Now, in regards to software, just like what you said, I have the same opinion. There's going to be all kinds of leaps and bounds in that because for me, that's what a what a sound vendor is focused on right now is R&D and software building because that's all they can do at the moment. So I think the innovations that are going to come from that are going to be good. Like we're going to have a bunch of that. So I agree with you.
And I talked to a friend who works for a speaker manufacturer. He has on and off, and he's back there now. And they have actually just hired 4 people. They're bringing, there's still people, some installs are still moving forward. There's some areas that are still moving forward, things that they didn't know how they were going to be able to get to before. Now, but since the concert world is done, there's the ability to focus on more of these other things. So I guess there are some things moving forward. And this is a company that happens to be, flourishing in some ways right now. So I guess they are out there, people that are moving forward with some momentum.
Interesting. Well, and in regards to the other part of that question, talking about, technicians and us and mixers kind of panicking about this whole thing. I mean, it is a time period where we are all, we're struggling a little bit. So I would suggest that you come up with alternative have a backup plan and have alternative ways that you could make money, whatever that means, whether it's in this industry or not, because I feel like this industry is going to be shuttered for a while. So if you are in a place where you make all your money from the industry, like Chris and I do, we can survive a little bit on savings, but at some point we're going to have to figure out how to make some money. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would be realistic about it. I'd try not to panic. I know that all of us have big skill sets that we can provide in other industries, so maybe that's somewhere that you can look as well. I mean, try not to panic, but the reality of this is that this is going to be a while.
Okay, last question, guys. It says, looking at the future of our industry, do you have any suggestions for our practitioners? Like what kind of requirements or challenges will we be facing, or is there anything else? Well, I think this is essentially what we just touched on, more or less, is now is the time to better yourself. I was looking for the right words that'll probably translate best here. Now is the time to better yourself, to better your skill set. And if you're just starting in this industry, now's a good time to think about, take a moment to stop and reflect and think about, okay, where is my career headed? I think a lot of people get into this industry and they all want to mix. And then a lot of people find out that that's not where their work is headed, Pooch and I have talked a lot about the importance of RF technicians, wireless technicians, and networking people. if you see yourself heading in that direction, you know what? Go that way, because those are two super vital components of our industry. So I think now would be a good time, if you're starting out, is to take stock, see of where you are, or conversely, if you don't like which way you're going, maybe now's the time to study and think about what I need to do to get to where I want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that those two things in our industry are always skill sets that will be needed. A really good wireless RF guy and a really good networking guy those are places where you are going to have a job. If I were not already invested so much in being a mixer, perhaps that would be a way that during this time period that I had sitting at home, I would be learning a lot about those kind of things. And think a little bit outside of the box, not just audio networking, but regular networking and how that all works. So don't just think about Dante as my point. Think about, all of the other kind of networking tools, subnetting and learning about IPv6 and, how we can communicate with two different devices. All of those things are things that you can learn by going to the Cisco site. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, think a little bit outside of the box, not just about audio networking. And then the other thing for me is I would spend a lot of time at the Shure website learning everything I could about RF. Hopefully that gives you guys some ideas of what stuff you could do. We appreciate you giving this opportunity to talk at you. Please come and, come to our social networking and come to our YouTube channel if you can get to it. And we appreciate you guys watching.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? When this all fades away, let us know if we can come to you.
Yeah,
I mean,
awesome.
How great would that be?
It would.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for watching.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. See ya.